Most people are not really living their life the way they truly intend to. They think about it a lot. They wake up inside a mind that is already thinking and talking, already explaining, predicting, defending. Before anything has happened, they have already had three arguments, imagined two failures, rewritten a conversation from yesterday, and created a future where everything somehow goes wrong. And then they call that being aware. But awareness is supposed to bring you closer to life. For a lot of people, it has become the thing that keeps them away from it because the mind can become a private room, a place where nothing actually happens, but everything feels intense. You can sit completely still and feel exhausted because internally you have lived through 100 versions of the same day. The apology you may have given, the message you might have sent, the person you might have become, the mistake everyone might remember, the life you might have if you were finally different. It feels productive because the mind is moving, but nothing is there, just like watching this YouTube video. This is not always a sign of depth. Sometimes it's a form of retreat. Real life asks you to risk something. Your mind lets you rehearse without ever being seen. That is why it becomes addictive. In your head, you can edit the scene. You can make yourself colder, smarter, more attractive, more understood. You can say the perfect thing, leave at the perfect time, win the argument, get missed by the person who never valued you correctly. But life, real life, is not that clean. Real life interrupts you. You stumble over words, you get misunderstood, you send the message and do not get the response you imagined. You walk into the room and suddenly you're not the version of yourself you practice being. So the mind becomes safer, not happier, safer. Psychologists call this part rumination, the habit of replaying thoughts again and again, especially around fear, pain, regret, and uncertainty. But rumination usually does not solve the problem. It just keeps the wound active, like pressing on a bruise to see if it still hurts. And modern life makes this worse because now we're not just living, we're watching ourselves living. You don't just go somewhere, you wonder how it looks. You don't just feel something, you wonder what it says about you. You don't just have a moment, you imagine how it would be posted, judged, remembered, misunderstood. The self becomes something you're constantly monitoring. And when you're always watching yourself, it becomes harder to actually be yourself. That is why many people feel tired without actually doing anything. They have not moved, but mentally they have been everywhere. They have failed publicly, succeeded privately, lost someone, won them back, ruined the future, fixed the whole life, and also started over, stayed the same, all before lunch. And then real life asks for one small action, and they're already drained. A walk, a conversation, a phone call, a decision, a simple, honest sentence, but the mind has turned everything into a movie. And when life becomes a movie in your head, reality starts to feel too painful to enter. This is one of the quiet traps of being human. We don't only suffer from what happens, we suffer from the story we build around what happens. Someone takes too long to reply, the mind creates some sort of courtroom. A friend sounds different and the mind starts gathering evidence. A stranger looks at you wrong and suddenly you're defending an entire identity. Reality gives you a moment, the mind gives you a sentence. The sentence is usually harsher than the truth. Most people are not thinking about you as much as you think you are. Most mistakes are not as permanent as they feel. Most fears become smaller once they're touched by action. The mind hides that from you. It tells you that you think long enough, you will finally be safe. Sometimes thinking is not protection. Sometimes it's avoidance with a better language. Because at some point, you have to stop preparing to live. You have to enter the unfinished moment, the awkward one, the imperfect one, the one where you do not have the perfect sentence, the one where you might have been rejected, or you might have been seen incorrectly, or the one where you might fall in a way that cannot be edited. That's where life is. Not in the version you keep rehearsing, not in the future where you finally become someone else. Life is in the physical world. The room, the street, the body, the voice, the person in front of you. The thing you do before you feel ready, and maybe presence is rare now because presence requires surrender. You have to let that moment be unfinished. You have to let the silence be silence. You have to let people misunderstand you sometimes. But the goal is not to stop thinking. That would be impossible. The goal is to stop confusing thought with life because your mind can explain the world forever in different ways. It can't touch it for you, though. It can't love for you. It can't risk for you. It can't become brave while you stay hidden. Eventually, the way out of your head is not another thought. It's actually an action, a message, a walk, a conversation, a decision, a room you enter while still afraid, a life you stop rehearsing and finally begin to inhabit. Because the mind is useful, but it was never meant to be a home. It was meant to be a doorway. And most people are standing in that doorway, calling it life.